There's something strange about the most respected people in America. They're not always the smartest, they're not always the richest, and they're definitely not always the loudest. Yet somehow, when they walk into a room, people notice. When they speak, people listen. And when they leave, people remember them. Meanwhile, others spend their entire lives trying to be respected. They talk more, work harder, try to impress everyone around them, yet they still get interrupted, ignored, overlooked. Why? Because respect isn't something people give you because you're nice. Respect is psychological. And once you understand how human psychology actually works, you'll start noticing a pattern everywhere. In offices, in schools, at parties, on social media. The people who command the most respect often follow a completely different set of rules. And today we're going to uncover them, because the truth is, most Americans are unknowingly doing the exact opposite. Part 1. The silent advantage. Let me ask you something. When someone asks you a difficult question, what do? Most people answer immediately, almost instinctively. They rush, they explain, they keep talking, and talking, and talking, because silence feels uncomfortable. But here's what psychology tells us. The person who is comfortable with silence instantly appears more confident. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how powerful people rarely rush to respond? Whether it's a CEO, a lawyer, a successful entrepreneur, or even a respected teacher. They pause, sometimes for a few seconds, and during those few seconds, everyone waits. That pause creates psychological weight, because when someone doesn't feel the need to fill every moment with words, people assume they have something worth saying. Silence creates anticipation, and anticipation creates attention. In a world where everyone is fighting to be heard, the person who speaks less often becomes the person everyone listens to. That's why calm people often appear more intelligent than they actually are. Not because they know more, but because their words carry more weight. And the best part? Anyone can use this. The next time someone asks you a question, pause for 2 seconds before responding. It sounds simple, but you'll immediately notice people paying closer attention, because confidence isn't always loud. Sometimes, confidence sounds like silence. Part 2. Your body speaks before you do. Here's something most people never think about. People start judging you long before you say your first word. Your posture, your movements, your facial expressions, your eye contact. Your brain might be speaking confidence, but your body could be broadcasting insecurity, and people pick up on it instantly. Human beings evolved to read body language long before language even existed. That's why your posture matters so much. Think about the difference between these two people. One walks into a room looking at the floor, shoulders rounded, moving quickly, trying not to be noticed. The other walks in slowly, shoulders relaxed, head up, eyes forward. Who looks more confident? Who looks more respected? Exactly. What's interesting is that confidence isn't necessarily about taking up space. It's about looking comfortable in the space you're already occupying. When someone looks comfortable with themselves, others become comfortable with them too, and that naturally creates respect. Watch successful people carefully. Most of them move slower than everyone else, not because they're lazy, because they're not rushing for approval, and people can feel that. Part 3. Why people lose respect without realizing it. Now we're getting into something deeper, because most disrespect doesn't happen overnight. It's usually something we accidentally teach people. Think about that. People learn how to treat you by watching what you tolerate. Every time you ignore a boundary, every time you allow behavior that makes you uncomfortable, every time you stay silent when something feels wrong, you are sending a signal, not with your words, with your actions, and actions always speak louder. This is why some people constantly feel disrespected, not because they're weak, but because they've spent years training people that their boundaries aren't important. Maybe they say yes when they want to say no. Maybe they apologize for things that aren't their fault. Maybe they tolerate behavior they secretly hate because they don't want conflict. But here's the problem. The more you abandon yourself, the harder it becomes for others to respect you, because respect starts with self-respect, and people can sense the difference. The strongest people aren't the most aggressive. They're the people who calmly protect their standards. No drama, no screaming, no emotional explosions, just clear boundaries, and clear boundaries make people think twice before crossing them. Part 4. The most underrated psychological trick. Want to know something ironic? People respect good listeners more than good talkers, which is funny, because most people spend their entire lives trying to become more interesting when they should be becoming more interested. Think about your favorite conversations. Were they with someone who talked non-stop about themselves, or someone who genuinely listened? Exactly. Listening is rare, and rare things become valuable. Most people are simply waiting for their turn to talk. They're not actually paying attention. But when someone feels truly heard, something changes. They feel important. They feel understood. And subconsciously, they associate those positive emotions with you. That's why great communicators ask great questions. Not because they don't know what to say, because questions create connection, and connection creates trust, and trust creates respect. Part 5. The real secret nobody talks about. But all of these things lead to one final truth. The most respected people aren't trying to get respect. Read that again. The most respected people aren't chasing respect. They're not begging for validation. They're not trying to impress everyone. They're not desperately seeking approval, because they've already decided how they feel about themselves. And that's where real power comes from. Think about the calmest person you've ever met. The person who seemed completely unshaken by criticism, completely unaffected by drama, completely comfortable being themselves. Chances are, they weren't respected because of what they said. They were respected because of what they didn't need. They didn't need everyone to agree with them. They didn't need everyone to like them. And they definitely didn't need everyone's approval. That kind of certainty is rare, and rare things are respected. Which brings us to the biggest lesson of all. The moment you stop chasing validation, people start seeing you differently. The moment you stop trying to convince everyone of your worth, people become curious about your worth. The moment you learn to stay calm while everyone else is reacting emotionally, you instantly stand out. Because calmness signals strength. Silence signals confidence. Boundaries signal self-respect. And self-respect is the foundation of all respect. So the next time you walk into a room, don't focus on being the loudest person there. Don't focus on impressing everyone. Don't focus on proving yourself. Instead, stay calm. Speak with intention. Protect your boundaries. And remember this. The people who secretly control every room are usually the people who don't feel the need to control anyone at all. Because real respect isn't demanded, it's felt. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden psychology, untold truths, and invisible patterns that shape our world, subscribe and join us for the next exploration. Because reality is often stranger than it appears. Until next time,